Hey guys, it's Anna J. Wellner with the Author Library, and today I am pleased to be joined by author Mackenzie Austin. Mackenzie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Mackenzie Austin. I'm the author of the Pangea Tales series and a couple of other books that tie into that universe. So, excited to be here today and to get to talk books with a fellow author.
Well, at first I have to ask. The reason that I begged you to come on the show is because I'm so interested in steampunk fantasy, but I'm not sure how to really describe it. What does it mean to you? What is it?
Well, I guess boiled down to the nuts and bolts, or cogs and gears in this case, steampunk is a subcategory of science fiction fantasy genre that a lot of the technology is steam operated. It has a very Gothic Victorian aesthetic. Everybody always thinks of the goggles and the top hats and the corsets and stuff like that. So, but yeah, really basically just a world predominantly powered by steam tech at its most basic assessment of steampunk.
But it also has elements of futuristic technology thrown in there as well,
Oh
things
yeah,
that they didn't have in the Victorian era.
correct. A lot of airships and ornithopters and things defying science a little bit, but still very. They have that aesthetic that gears and cogs and steam Victorian aesthetic of that time period. So
And that I love your covers. They're so unique and so eye-catching. And the steampunk really does come, it jumps out at you that this is what the series is about. And I'm interested in the Pangea because we all know what Pangea is. How is that eventually as the continents continue to shift, without getting too scientific here, we will have a meeting of land masses, many, many millennia from now. But is that kind of, I'm fishing a little bit,
I
but
I actually I did play off the supercontinent of Pangea a little bit when I chose my title because I wanted the world to be fictitious, but I wanted there to be ties to our own world as well, so
gotcha.
people didn't have to make quite as big of a stretch when suspending their disbelief on what could and could not happen. It's still fantasy world, but it still has ties to ours as well in a really vague way or subconscious way, I guess.
Well, the Pangea Tales is comprised of a collection of 4 books. I don't even know where to begin. This is such a multi-layered saga, but the core characters are the same throughout. Nikolai, Umbriel, and Kazuaki. Can you tell us a little bit about your 3 core characters?
I can. So I'll start with Nikolai. He's one of the 8 ruling time fathers of Pangea, and the time fathers are uh, they're I don't really know. They're not, they're, I guess, the leaders of their respective divisions, and the divisions are all divided into the 8 cardinal directions. So Nikolai is the time father of the southeastern division, and his father Edward is the time father of the western division, and then Avidal York is eastern, and Agi Normandy is northwestern, and everybody. I could prattle on about all the time fathers all day, but going back to Nikolai, what a time father is an individual who has their blood bound to an enchanted pocket watch that was gifted to mankind by the lesser gods long, long, long ago. And I get into the backstory quite a bit, but not in the Pangea Tales. That's a different backstory that I'm planning on writing in the future. But
Oh,
yeah, so he has this pocket watch from the gods that essentially has the ability to stop time in their division. their particular division, and it's huge treasonous sin to stop time. So Nikolai he's like, I would never do that. That would be terrible. And then he ends up doing it because his hand is forced a little bit. His lover's life hangs in the balance, and he thinks if I can just figure this out, I just need time to figure this out. The situation that I have found myself in, and he tries so hard, but so he's on the run.
We won't spoil anything.
Yes, I don't want to spoil anything.
I don't. It's so hard. What about Umbriel and Kazuaki? I love saying that name.
Oh, thank you. Well, Umbriel is the last Earth Mother. So there's the 8 ruling Time Fathers, and then there were these women called Earth Mothers that kind of worked in conjunction with the Time Fathers. And in Pangea, eventually they had outgrown their desire for gods and magical folkloric things, and the Earth Mothers were tied to that. And they're like, you know what, mankind can do just fine without it. We can make our own things. We can answer our own prayers with our own machines and our own tech, and we do not need any of this nonsense anymore. So they got rid of all the Earth Mothers, but Umbriel is the last one, and she has a big role to play in the series.
And then Kazuaki as well.
Kazuaki, he's an unabashed favorite of mine. And I just finished writing his backstory called Grey Tides Rising, which will be released later this year. So it's not part of the Pangea Tales series. It's a standalone book, but it ties into the same universe. So you don't need to read it to understand the 4 that we're talking about today.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Kazuaki is he's my little anti-hero. He has ties with old world Pangea. He was cursed with immortality for consuming the flesh of a mermaid, which is based off of an old Japanese folklore tale, which is why actually his name has ties, Kazuaki Hidetaka. So that was kind of my nod to the fact that his circumstances stemmed from this old Japanese legend. And he runs a ship of heathens and outcasts. I call them in my head Pangea's pariahs. So he takes all these broken, beaten people that the mainland doesn't want, and he uses them in his quest to hunt all these old myths and legends. And the 3 of them, Nikolai, Umbriel, and Kazuaki, they all end up finding out that they have a nice destiny together, that that they need to work out.
It all kind of intertwines and comes together at some point.
Yes, 3 very different people that
love that. So yeah, I forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry.
But yes, no, it's fine. But yes, I do love whenever everything's all intertwined and comes together. You do have a lot of mythology and folklore that's incorporated into the books as well, it sounds.
Oh yes, yeah, I take a lot of liberties with some folklore tales, but there's inspiration drawn from Scottish folklore, Gaelic, obviously Japanese mythology. Oh gosh, there's so many different wonderful creatures that were like concocted by all these people from years prior, that they all have a place, regardless of, well, because there's not really any,
there's no rules.
There's no rules, and I wanted it to be all inclusive of every myth and every legend from every different culture that I could possibly fit in and make it still make sense. So
that is highly ambitious, and the world building in this saga is intense. What was that process like?
It was a lot of, well, I took the general inspiration from the steampunk genre. So that was a good base point to step off of. Obviously, everything is steam powered, or I think it might even kind of fall into the gas lamp fantasy subcategory a little bit. But it was just a matter of taking that and then trying to figure out little nuances like, okay, the steampunk aesthetic, they have goggles, they have gas masks. Why do they have these things? Oh, because the air quality is really bad. So they need gas masks to filter the air, and there's a lot of ash and coal dust in the air. So that's why people wear the goggles. And you know, just kind of going off of the logical things that are within that setting and trying to figure out little nuances that would make sense as to why things are the way that they are. And it just kind of spiraled from there. You know?
Oh, I completely understand. Sometimes the world, the circumstances that the characters find themselves in help to build the world to suit the storyline as well. I've had it happen. With the volume of this series, how long did the writing process take? I mean, what was it, an easy process, or was it time consuming?
I guess it depends on who you would ask. I started writing The Tree That Grew Through Iron, which is book 1 in the series. I started writing it in January of 2018, and I finished it in June of 2018. So I would say 6 months probably doesn't seem that long to a lot of people, but then I also know indie authors who are banging out books every 4 weeks, so it would probably seem a long time to them. But Tree,
I'm not at that level yet, so you know, yeah, no kidding. I mean, you know, just the editing process is laborious.
oh,
So, I mean, and you, let's be honest. I mean, we reread a lot. So by the time we get finished editing, it's like we almost know the book, but like we're tired of reading the book.
Yes, definitely. By the time it was done, I was like, God, I have this whole freaking thing memorized. Oh, but the characters, Bermuda and Kazuaki, were actually, they've been characters of mine since I was 16. I used to role play them on creative writing message boards, and obviously their circumstances and backstories have changed as I became a little less naive of a person and grew up a little bit. But
Gotcha.
yes, they were pretty fleshed out, so it was relatively easy to write, I guess, or easier than just making a character from scratch that you haven't known for 20 years.
Wow, that is so that is so cool. That is so crazy. So but the actual writing process. I mean, because guys, there are so many. There are 5 books, is that right? 5 in the series?
Yep. So far, there's
I was gonna ask.
yeah, there's the Pangea tales. So those do need to be read in order. There's The Tree That Grew Through Iron, The Gods Who Harvested Men, The Serpent That Swallowed Its Tail, and The Canary That Sang to the World. And then I just recently finished a collection of novelettes. Each they're around or under 20,000 words a piece, but it's all of the origin stories and backstories of all the crew members that we get to meet in the Pangea tales and how they wound up on Captain Kazuaki Hidetaka's ship. So, and then I just finished Grey Tide, which is Kazuaki's origin story. So those other 2 books that I wrote, they don't need to be read to understand the Pangea tales. It's just extra added content if you want to enrich the experience of that particular story.
If you want to, I mean, I can just go ahead and tell that if you want to get fully immersed into a world and the characters and an entirely new universe, this is a series that will do that for you. like lose months, you know, reading everything that is tied to the Pangea tales. That's Amazing. What do you have coming next? Is this it for the Pangea Tales, or no?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please. I was just wondering, are we going to see more in the original series? Are you going to do like a spinoff, or um, maybe take someone else's character and go with them for a little while?
I do have 3 more books that tie into the series that I want to write. One of them is Mimir's backstory, because that lays a lot of the groundwork for the lesser gods and the chronometers. The chronometers are the pocket watches that the Time Fathers have. So
Right.
that is it's necessary, I think, to get to the very last book I want to write, which is actually transcends genres from steampunk into cyberpunk. So that one's going to be a stretch, but it'll be fun to write. That one untitled yet. So I have Mimir's that I want to write. I have the cyberpunk one that I want to write, and then smack dab in the middle is one that's just Kazuaki and the crew prior to meeting Nikolai, so that we can enjoy some of the adventures they had on sea before they ended up going through all the stuff that they went through with Nikolai. So
That, I mean, this is, yeah, you've really created an entirely new universe and everything. That's fantastic. I'm in awe, like how you did all of that. So guys, make sure to check out the links in the description below for all of Mackenzie's information, including the links to her Amazon author page, where you can check out Pangea Tales and the novelettes as well, and keep up to date with what she has coming up soon. So thank you so much for coming on the show, because like I said, I saw the covers, and I have always been fascinated with steampunk and wanting to know more about it. And this sounds like a series that if I were to get into, that I may never get out of.
there's a lot of content, or at least there will be. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I explained it well. I know I swear the writing is way more eloquent than I am.
It's tough.
Socially. Yeah. Plus I don't have an editor to, like, filter through the things that come out of my mouth before I say them. So it is what it is.
Hey, well, Mackenzie, thank you so much again for joining us today and for telling us all about the Pangea Tales. Guys, definitely, it's something that you want to check out if you're looking to get into steampunk, or if you are looking for a 6-month escape from the world. Thank you again so much for being on the channel, for being on the show. And guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please make sure that you do, so that you keep up to date on all upcoming content. And Mackenzie, thank you again.
Thank you, Anna. You have a great rest of the day.
Yes, ma'am. You do the same. Bye, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you soon.